This is what I made for Thanksgiving as a private chef in Beverly Hills. It's gonna be a long one. We have 14 guests, 12 adults and 2 children coming. But my prep started the day before. As you know, while I have a ton of prep to do, I still have to feed my clients lunch and dinner, so I started off by preparing their lunch. They wanted a chicken paillard, so I seasoned those up, made a quick vinaigrette combining aged balsamic with a honey lemon herb vinaigrette that we had. I quartered, de-seeded, and cut cucumbers, and cubed an heirloom tomato, seasoned with salt, and tossed with a bit of that dressing and chiffonade basil. It's 15 minutes before lunch, so I grill those paillards, get those nice grill marks, and I finish the tomato and cucumber salad with just a little bit of lettuce, more dressing, and get ready to plate. Sliced grilled chicken breast, the salad, a bit more aged balsamic to season the chicken, and off it goes. For dinner, they requested miso cod, so I finished the sauce in the blender, added sugar, and blended until smooth and shiny, and let that cool. I trimmed up the black cod, removed the bones, and coated the cod with miso marinade, and into the fridge to chill. Now that lunch was served and dinner was mostly situated, I worked on my prep list. My clients gave me a list of everything that they wanted for their Thanksgiving, so I went through the list and made sure I was organized. I don't want to find out last minute that I had forgotten something. I am gonna go kind of fast because there's a lot to cover. I cooked down pancetta with water to render out the fat and get them crispy for the Brussels sprouts. Made the base for the controversial caviar pie because it does have to set overnight. I roasted butternut squash for soup and combined with almond milk, sage, vanilla, and maple syrup, so it's completely vegan. Cooked gently until the squash was very soft and gave that a blend. Soup's done. I cubed challah, I think that's how you say it, and let that dry out overnight so that I can make croutons for the stuffing. For cornbread, I cooked down corn kernels and butter until the corn and the butter browned, then blended with milk, cream, and eggs before putting that away. That's the base for tomorrow's cornbread. And of course, I had to grate all the cheese for the mac and cheese. It's almost 7 and that means it's time to serve dinner, so I sauteed some bok choy leaves, toasted some garlic, seasoned with sesame oil, a touch of mirin, and oyster sauce. Threw the miso cod into the broiler and got ready to plate. Hot rice, sauteed bok choy, and of course the miso cod. Then I organized my prep, cleaned up, and headed home for the night. First thing I did when I arrived Thanksgiving morning was finish that caviar pie with 12 ounces of caviar. Yep, 12 ounces. I finished the cornbread batter, added melted butter to a preheated muffin tin, and dropped the cornbread batter and into the oven. I made the bechamel sauce, which is the base, and added a lot of that grated cheese from the night before. Always be careful that you don't boil your cheese sauce or you'll end up with a gritty, grainy sauce. I also had help today. This is the weekend private chef, my buddy Christian. I did miss a lot of filming just due to space constraints and how much stuff we had to do, but by now the cornbread was done, vegetables were par roasted, mac and cheese, stuffing, and everything was in the oven, finishing up. My clients didn't want any fancy cranberry sauce, they wanted the OG cranberry jelly sliced into discs, which I respect. My wife also prefers the classic. I plated the caviar pie, removed the slice for them to enjoy tomorrow, surrounded with crackers, and off they went. My clients don't do a traditional turkey, they've always ordered a Peking turkey from a restaurant for years, and this year is no different. All they have me do is reheat it, break it down, slice a little bit of the meat, and then turn the rest into wraps. Chinese pancakes, hoisin sauce, Peking turkey, cucumbers, green onions, rolled up and ready to go. The final spread was brown buttered mashed potatoes, gravy, special rice, mac and cheese, fennel sausage and spinach stuffing, roasted Brussels with a maple vinaigrette and pancetta, sweet potatoes with marshmallows, charred cauliflower, cornbread with butter and honey, Peking turkey wraps, and of course the ham. I actually didn't get any footage of the pavlova, sadly. But yeah, that was it. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. This is what I made as a personal chef in Beverly Hills. I started off by breaking down some cauliflower into smaller, even florets so that they cook evenly. Tossed in olive oil and seasoned with salt, cumin, smoked paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and into the oven. We received some nice little zucchini from the farmer's market, so I just quartered them and cut them into nice bite-sized pieces. I try to cut all the veg so that they can all be eaten with a fork and not require a knife. It makes it easier for them to eat. I also got some pretty heirloom carrots which I peeled and cut into obliques. They like to have salmon at least twice a week because it is a very healthy protein, and today I seasoned it with the same spice mix as the cauliflower, rubbed with a touch of olive oil and set that aside. Then I finally brunoise some shallots and sliced garlic. For the veg medley, I first started off by sauteing the carrots because they will take the longest. Once the carrots have a bit of color and are about 75% of the way done, I throw in the zucchini and saute them as well. When the zucchini and carrots are about 90% done, I add the shallots, chopped fresh thyme, and the sliced garlic. Toast it gently with a bit of oil before tossing all the vegetables together. And then I added some peas that I had from the day before, and I finished with a healthy squeeze of fresh lemon juice to brighten it all up. And here's a little avocado roast flex. If you're interested in learning how to do these, I do have a video somewhere. I had some more fresh peas, so I gently cooked them in chicken stock, gave that a blend, and finished with just a little touch of butter to round it out before straining in case there are any pea skins that are hiding. I'm 15 minutes out from serving them lunch, so I get that salmon on the grill and get ready to plate. A bit of that beautiful buttery and sweet pea puree, some of that veg medley with garlic, thyme, and lemon juice, roasted cauliflower, grilled salmon, and their favorite avocado roast. And this was my whole day as a personal chef in Beverly Hills. As soon as I get to my client's home, I start by unpacking the groceries and get organized. I was sent this Korean barbecue seasoning by Rub Rub a while back and I never had a chance to use it, but I thought it would work well for their lunch. The flavor profile is a garlicky, oniony sweet soy with sesame oil, so I used it to marinate some chicken with a little bit of olive oil. They requested Asian chicken salad, which is something I make for them almost weekly. They really enjoy it. The dressing is pretty simple. I just blend garlic, ginger, a bit of mirin, soy sauce, sesame oil, agave or honey, rice vinegar, and also a touch of white vinegar because rice vinegar doesn't have enough of that acidic punch that I like. I also like to add some hot hot mustard for myself, but not for my clients. Strain, and that's it. After the chicken has had time to marinate, I grilled the chickens early because I do need it to be cold for their salad. I always use the same vegetables for the salad since my clients have come to love this combination, but you can put in whatever crunchy vegetables or greens you have laying around. She likes red cabbage, green cabbage, sugar snap peas, gutted cucumbers, carrots, cilantro, cashews, my pickled red onions, that marinated grilled chicken that's been shredded, and of course the dressing, topped with an avocado rose and gently crushed wonton chips. A light lunch packed with vegetables and protein. After serving them, I cleaned some scallops in some ice water because they were a bit sandy, removed the foot of the scallops, and I laid them out on paper towels to dry out. Made myself a bit of coffee and finished drying out the scallops. Then I seasoned each scallop with salt and placed on paper towels to absorb any more water that comes out of the scallops. This will ensure that my scallops sear nicely and don't give off a ton of water when they cook. I finished clearing their plates and it's around 2 p.m. now, so I cleaned up and I headed out to the gym. I usually get back around 5:30 p.m. and start getting dinner ready. We got a lot of wild mushrooms from the farmer's market, but lately my clients haven't been really enjoying them roasted, so I decided to use them for a farro risotto. I cleaned them by shredding them with my hands, sauteed them all until all the water cooked off and they got some nice color and set them aside. I don't know why we had this mediocre prosciutto laying around, but since I knew my clients wouldn't really enjoy these straight up, I baked them in the oven and turned them into crispy prosciutto. For the mushroom risotto, I sweat down shallots, garlic, and added farro, toasted it, and deglazed with white wine. Once that's been reduced and the alcohol smell is gone, I add in chicken stock and just let that cook down while I give that a mix. The nice thing about making farro risotto is that it's almost impossible to overcook. Farro will retain its bite even if you cook it for an hour. I added a touch of miso because it goes extremely well with the mushrooms. It's about 6:45 p.m. and it's time to serve dinner, so I gave the scallops a quick sear and I topped them with the sun-dried tomato tapenade that I made for them before. And normally this risotto would be finished with butter and cheese and that would absolutely make this better, but my clients prefer not to have them because it does make the dish a bit too heavy for them. The farro also releases enough starch if you move it around enough to give it a creamy mouthfeel without all the added dairy. I plate the miso mushroom farro risotto, seared scallops with sun-dried tomato tapenade, crispy prosciutto, and that's their dinner. This is what I made as a personal chef in Beverly Hills. Today's client request was lamb chops. Interestingly, my clients actually do not like when the lamb chops are cooked as a rack. They prefer the flavor of individually grilled lamb chops. So I got these nice Colorado lamb chops and trimmed off as much of the fat as possible. I personally love all the pieces of fat, especially when a little bit charred, but my clients like them as lean as possible. For the marinade, I combined crushed garlic, red wine vinegar, oregano, cumin, smoked paprika, a little olive oil, and tomato paste. The vinegar and tomato paste will give the lamb a little tang, sweetness, and help the marinade stick to the lamb, while also aiding in caramelization on the grill. I salt the lamb chops individually so I know how much salt is necessary and massage the marinade into the lamb chops. It's a bit rainy today, but I still got a grill. I throw these Chinese eggplants on and just let them char. While that's going, I trim up some of these thicker broccolini and blanch them in salted water to get them tender. If any vegetables are a little bit fibrous, my clients really do not enjoy them. Then I clean up these carrots from the farmer's market, half them, toss in olive oil, a touch of salt, and give them a nice char on the grill and hit it with some honey to accentuate the sweetness. Once the eggplant are charred, I put them in a bowl, cover in plastic, and let that steam. This is to soften them and make it easier to remove the skins. For the smoky eggplant puree, I fry up some smashed garlic to take out the harsh raw edge, peel the charred skin, but I do like to leave a little bit on for a touch more smoky flavor, but not so much that it becomes bitter. Throw it into a blender with the fried garlic and olive oil, cumin, parsley, dried mint, yogurt, lemon zest, and lemon juice. I tried blending it, but the blender was too big, so I had to move it to this little food processor. It's almost time to serve lunch, so I grill and char up the lamb chops and broccolini, cooking it to rare, and start to plate. I find lamb gets gamier the more you cook it. A few dollops of eggplant puree, charred broccolini, grilled honey carrots, the lamb chops, some pickled red onions for sweetness and acidity, a little drizzle of olive oil, and that's lunch. This was my Christmas Eve as a personal chef in Beverly Hills. For lunch, they requested Chilean sea bass. They only request it like 4 times a year, so I have to make sure it's good. I might get some hate, but I seasoned them up with some Lowry seasoning salt. I've been playing around with different salts for my clients, and they seem to enjoy it more than just kosher salt. For the sauce, I added sliced shallots into a pot with olive oil and butter to sweat down. And the starch, we got these massive sweet potatoes from the farmer's market, so I just simply wrapped it in aluminum foil and then into the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I added some sliced garlic to the sweated shallots and let those fry up and marry. Deglaze with white wine to give the sauce a bright acidity and fresh picked thyme. It's currently winter here in LA, and we got these terrible heirloom tomatoes. These guys were starting to rot even before they got sweet, so I cubed them up and threw them into the pot with the shallots and garlic and let that gently cook down. My clients ordered some massive stone crab claws from Florida since it is the season, so while that sauce was going, I smashed them up, cleaned up the shells, and put them on ice. I had Oscar the houseman to help me out too. My clients were nice enough to let me enjoy Christmas Eve night off, so all I had to do was leave these clean for them, and I made them some cocktail sauce to enjoy with the claws for dinner. For their veg, I simply sauteed some zucchini in olive oil with garlic. After the sauce cooked for about an hour, I blended it until smooth with a little bit more butter and fresh basil, and the sauce is done. I did add a touch of sugar to balance out the acidity because the tomatoes were pretty trash. It's time to serve lunch, so in a hot pan I added some avocado oil and dropped down the Chilean sea bass, making sure to pat them dry before it goes in, otherwise it'll splatter all over the place and also increase the chance of it getting stuck. After the fish was cooked about 70% on one side, I flipped them over, added butter, thyme, and garlic, and just basted the fish to 90% done. It'll finish cooking while it rests. I like to use my tweezers or any thin piece of metal to temp thicker fish like this. When you push it in, if there is some resistance, the fish is still not fully cooked. If it slips in and pulls out easily, your fish is done. Take off the heat and let it drain on a paper towel. To plate, I give a nice big piece of roasted sweet potato with a little salt, and I spoon the buttery, garlicky heirloom tomato white wine sauce into a shallow bowl, Chilean sea bass in the center, sauteed zucchini, crispy fried shallots, and it's ready to serve. Then I cleaned up and went home for the night.